The projects in Chapter 7 require you to create a virtual machine using the VMware software, Project 7.4 and 7.5. Some students have reported problems, and so I wanted to go through and study this issue a little bit more in depth before I ask you to go ahead and complete these exercises. Here's going to be the problem. As you can see here, I have the VMware vCenter converter running, no problem at all. I simply downloaded it, followed the instructions in the book, and had absolutely no problems at all. This computer is not super duper fast. This is a Windows 8 computer. It took me maybe an hour and a half to do the whole thing, not counting the time it took to download the VMware. Now, Project 7.5 also is very easy. I'll open that and show you. Okay, here is VMware Player, and in exercise 7.5, you're to load the virtual machine, and of course we would simply go and open the virtual machine. We go and find where we have that. I put my virtual machine, I always go to my C drive, and then I create a folder on my C drive, and I call it my virtual machine. Open, there's the folder, there's the file, and if I click open, then there is the virtual machine right there, and I can click play it. And now you can see here is the virtual machine, and you can tell that it's Windows 8 loading up. Okay, we see that the virtual machine has now loaded Windows 8 into this virtual environment, and put my password in. Again, this is Windows 8, and so with Windows 8 you're logging in through your live.com account rather than some other personal account. So here we see the start page on Windows 8, and here are my granddaughters, and I know that this icon below them is the icon to my desktop. Click it. This brings me to my desktop where I have Dropbox folder, recycle bin, and so on. Hit the Windows key to go back to my start. And if I wanted to open something like SkyDrive, or to, how about Excel? And there we see Excel, Excel 2013. Okay, now what I've done is simply showed you that doing the projects 7.4 and 7.5 are very straightforward. You shouldn't have any problem. The only thing I would suggest is that in project 7.5 that items 3, 4, and 5 and 6 may not be required. If you actually set up an account, which is free of course, at VMware in 7.4, then when you do 7.5 you log in. So when you go to the site for 7.5, log in, and then you will not be asked to do steps 3, 4, 5, and 6. It'll just skip those steps for you. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my desktop here. Let me see if I can show you what the problem is that some students have had and how to work this out. Here is Windows Explorer. Some people call it Windows Explorer. That's the actual name of this window that shows you all your files and folders. Some people also call it the File Explorer or Files and Folders Explorer. This computer that I'm using is one that I've built recently, and so it doesn't have much on it. So you can see that I have a 1 terabyte hard drive on it, and I've got most of that available. If I click here on my right click on the C drive, click on Properties, you can see that this is all, the blue area is all that I have used of this hard drive, and all of this color here, what is that, magenta or whatever it is free. So I've got 809 gigabytes free. I only have used 113 gigabytes of that storage space, and right now that includes the virtual machine itself. If you want to see the size of the virtual machine, I'll come in here and double click on, let's see, I don't want to move that window, I just want to open a new one. Right click and then open in a new window, and I'll go to my folder again on my C drive and to my virtual machine, and right now since it's open it looks huge, and you can see the number right here. It's 52 million kilobytes. Well, that's going to be about 50 gigabytes. Right click on it, click Properties, And you'll see that the screen that comes up here says it's 50.8 gigabytes. So think about this. Right now, my entire hard drive has 113 gigabytes on it. And as the other window just showed you, 50 of these gigabytes, or about half of this, is now the virtual machine. So when I started doing all of this work, this number was about 55 or so gigabytes, and I added the virtual machine and it doubled the size. So here's the point, and this is what you need to check out. You have got to find out how much storage space you have on your hard drive. If you have 50% of your hard drive available, and then you create the virtual machine is going to make an exact image of your hard drive and put it on your disk as a virtual machine, and then that will pack your hard drive. If you have more than 50% of your hard drive, if you're using more than 50% of your hard drive, you cannot do this exercise on that computer. You're going to have to get rid of some files. You're going to have to install another hard drive, or you're going to have another solution, and I'm going to be offering you some solutions in another message. But you have got to come in and study this and make sure that you have enough space to install this. So make sure that you have less than 50%, and probably I would say in the range of 15 or 20% is all that you have used of your hard drive, and then install this virtual machine. Now it's very, very easy to recover that space after this assignment or after this course. You probably should hang on to it throughout this course. And what you would simply do after this course is over is you simply would come back to wherever you created your virtual machine here, and you're going to, right here, here's my virtual machine. I would simply right click and delete. That's how easy it's going to be to uninstall this. And when you do that, you'll get all of that space back. The advantages of doing this is that now I could come in and do some of these exercises that are required in the textbook. I could do all of those assignments and tests and things that maybe I'm nervous about. I can do all of those right here in the virtual environment and not be hurting my real computer at all, because like I said, here is my real computer background, and here is my virtual computer background. See if I can scale this down some. So here is my real computer, and back here, and here is the virtual machine, and they're identical. They do exactly the same thing. The virtual machine is going to run slower, but if you have enough memory, it's not going to be horribly slower. But you can do all of that work right here in the virtual machine that is identical to your real machine, and that's the purpose of Project 7.4 and 7.5.